Geeky.
That's an amazing office.
Oh, thank you. It's so much fun. I'll tell you.
I can tell.
Yeah, the pinball machine gets very distracting when I'm trying to work, but it's fun. But thank you so much for taking the time today.
Sure.
I have two little girls, they're 9 and 10, and they've read the books. So they were very excited for this movie. So my first question, I'd love to know, how did you kind of decide what you wanted to make sure was in the movie versus that stuff you maybe had to let go from the books, and maybe in the future we'll get more?
Yes. What happened was, as you know, if you read the book with them, the first book is all about the big bad wolf saying on the first few pages, literally page 3 or whatever, he says, "All right, meet the gang, and guys, we're gonna go good." Which I think is amazing because you understand, you know exactly the mythology behind the big bad wolf and all these animals that have been like kind of pitted as scary and bad and whatever. And so you understand why he wants to go good. And I think this is, by the way, this is the brilliant idea of Aaron, and an idea that when you read it, you're like, oh my God, I wish I had that before, that idea myself, you know. And this is why I got so attracted to the project. But I think for the film, we needed to go back in time to just kind of explain why that decision, you know. It would have been a little odd, especially because the way we kind of design our big bad wolf, it would have been a little odd to not explain the genesis of this moment, you know. And this is where the difference starts really between the books and the film, you know. And therefore, because we started going there, because we also, you know, used the style genre, the heist movie that is not exactly, I mean, it's in the books, but it's not fully, you know, what Aaron is doing. We pushed it, you know, so it really feels kind of a bit more genuine. You obviously start diverging a little bit. And so this is why we didn't follow the books verbatim. But what we did is, I mean, we used elements of the books from the first 3 or 4 books in this movie. And elements that are the most iconic elements of their adventure. And try to fit them into this story, because we still wanted to just have a story that would not be exactly the books, but that would just totally match the universe of it, you know, and the tone and the humor. And through the process, obviously, we had Aaron Blaby, who's the author, with us in the team, because he's the executive producer of the film. And so therefore, every month or a couple of months, we check in with him and ask him, you know, show him what we're doing and tell him, okay, what do you think? Where is that going? And get his feedback and hopefully blessing. Sometimes it was not a blessing, but like most of the time it was like, yeah, you guys are doing great, keep going. So having that, you know, as a stamp of approval from him was like everything, you know. So he completely gave us creative license to go and explore a little bit, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And then speaking of like people loving it though, like being good with it, like the reaction for the audiences and critics was amazing. How did it feel? Like it's like what, 88% and 90 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, it's insane. It's fantastic. I mean, you know, as an artist, as a filmmaker, that's almost like the score that you want to see, you know, because even more, at least on my end, is even more so than the box office, if you want, because I'm not the money guy. I'm like I'm the creator, and so you're like yeah, I want my baby to be loved in a way, you know, and I'm so proud and so happy of it that like it can speak. But mostly, what's most important is really just the reaction that I had from the families and, you know, children and their parents and my own kids that are absolutely, you know, enthralled with this film. They know every line by heart, and they've been with me the whole time, like following me along and just embarking in this journey. But I'm just like seeing the reaction of children to this film, loving it, you know, and really understanding the plot, because there's twists and turns and stuff that is not always easy to follow when you're younger audiences. And following it so well and just really laughing at some of the jokes, but also a movie that is also totally works for adults because they get the reference, because they get the cleverness of the dialogue, they laugh at some of those jokes that are tailored a bit more for them. So I think that's where, to me, the joy comes from, you know. But honestly, you know, when you work so hard and so long on something in your vacuum, the day you release your film is a terrifying day, even though even though it's your, I mean, you've done everything you could. It's like
Yeah.
you had a mandate, you have a story to tell, and now it's over. I mean, there's not much you can do. So it is what it is. The movie became what it wanted to become. So there's no more to do. And so you release this, and you just hope that people are gonna love it. So when it's loved the way it would be beloved, the way this one is beloved, obviously it's a consecration. It's amazing.
And it's your like feature
Debut.
debut, directorial
Yeah,
debut. That's amazing, right?
yeah. It's also terrifying because you're like, what if it's the only one?
Well, at least you went out on top if it's
At least there's one.
Exactly. But one of our favorite things about this movie is like the cast is so great all together. Their comedic timing, they're incredible. Can you just talk about bringing on this? I mean, it's an incredible cast, amazing people.
It is an incredible, definitely an incredible cast. It was first of all such a joy, but such a complex process. I mean, like casting is like, we don't do audition in animation, so it's like you're just kind of trying to identify which actor would just be great for that character, and you just bury it down to just, I don't know, 10, 12, whatever, and then you just create reels of what they sound like, from their other work that they've done. Create reels and just get it against your character design and trying to gauge, is that the right voice, is that the right thing? And what helped us massively was that in the script, in our story, we had very clear, defined characters already quite early on. And the other thing that we wanted was like a cast that was something like a cool cast, and not something that would be like your kind of your usual suspects, not in a deprecating way, like those amazing big stars, that you would think of for a heist movie. We didn't want those guys. We wanted something that was kind of a bit not fresh, but yeah, fresh in a way, like different, like surprising, And I think finding Sam and having Aquafina and all these guys, like it just brought it to life. I mean, and the other thing is like they all have their own strengths, and they're all so good at what they do in their own way that none of them really just. Every single one of these characters is just incredible. But the amazing thing is that since the pandemic hit halfway through production, really, or even beginning of production, we had to record a lot of it online. I mean, like remotely.
Oh, like on Zoom and stuff?
Yeah, from their homes. Yeah, we sent them mics and they recorded them at their places, which is horrible because it's not the best way to record a movie, right? Because it's just like the sound bounces around. It's not clean anyway. And then we ended up managing to get them in studios, but like all over the world, right? But on the plus side, we were able to actually record them together because they were each at their separate places, and we were able to sync them up on Zoom or whatever system we had to be together on screen, so they could play off of each other. And that was amazing because first of all, it gives you a performance that is much more convincing than Sam reading his line and me reading with him, which I'm not an actor, and so therefore he can really dive into the role with his friends, with other actors, fellow actors, and they're so much better. And so it gives you that naturalism, it gives you the ability to improv. But what it also does is like it creates a connection between them. And now, I mean, like they're an amazing group of friends. I mean, and they are so great together. And it's a joy to see them, just read together and just have a blast on this, So, super grateful for them, and super grateful for DreamWorks and having the opportunity to work with people like this,
Yeah, and it comes through in the movie. I mean, we absolutely love it. It feels so real and believable. We've watched it. I can't even tell you how many times we've watched it already. We've watched it so many times. As soon as it ended, my girl said, "Can we watch that one again?" I said, "Sure, let's restart it." So thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And thank you for this great movie. So
yeah, totally. Say hi to your daughters for me.
I will. Thank you. Thank you so much to all my monetary supporters, my members, and my Patreons. Love you guys.